The Galactic Senate was a giant room filled with lights, sounds, and voices from every corner of the known universe. Aliens from hundreds of worlds sat in their floating chairs, each one glowing with the colors of their home planet. In the center, a large blue flame floated in the air, the symbol of unity among the stars. But today, the room did not feel united at all. At one edge of the chamber sat the human delegation, small and quiet. There were only 3 of them. Dressed in black suits with a silver Earth emblem on their shoulders, they sat straight, watching, listening, saying nothing. The others noticed their silence and laughed softly. "The humans are still here," said one tall, green-skinned senator from the Zelari Empire. "What do they want now? More trade routes for potatoes?" Laughter echoed across the chamber. Another alien, fat and golden with 6 eyes, waved a long finger. "Maybe they will. Offer us advice on how to fight with stone tools." More laughter followed, some of it cruel. The humans stayed quiet, showing no emotion. At the center of the room, the speaker, a wise old being with crystal skin, raised his voice. "The machine threat grows stronger," he said. "They have already taken 12 outer worlds." The room became quiet, serious again. "We must unite our fleets," he continued. "Every empire must contribute, or we all fall." The Zelari senator stood up proudly. "Our fleets will join," he said. 10,000 ships. Ready for war. Cheers rose and others followed. Each race promised power. Strength, numbers. Then, slowly, the human ambassador stood up. He was an older man. With gray hair and calm eyes, he pressed a small button on his table, and his voice echoed across the room. "Earth also offers its strength," he said simply. There was a pause, and then the laughter returned. Louder this time. "Strength," said the golden alien, shaking with joy. "Do humans even have ships that leave their system?" the green senator added. "What will you send?" "Fishing boats with fireworks." Even the speaker could not hide a small smile. The humans were not taken seriously. They never had been. The ambassador did not argue. He looked around the room, calm, quiet. Then he said just one thing: "You have no idea what Earth can do." The laughter died slowly, like wind running out of breath. There was something in his voice that made the others uneasy. He did not sound angry. But he did not sound afraid either. Before anyone could respond, the humans stood up and walked. Out of the chamber, they left without another word. The room fell silent. No one quite knew what to say. Outside, the ambassador spoke into a hidden device. "Begin Phase 1, he said. A voice replied, "Confirmed." Earth fleet activation started far away. In the dark edge of the solar system, deep under the ice of Europa, an old signal lit up. Red lights blinked in silence. Massive shapes began to move beneath the surface, and on Earth, under the Pacific Ocean, a sleeping giant began to rise. The Galactic Senate did not see this. They went back to their talks, their laughter, and their plans. They did not know that Earth had never stopped preparing. While others explored the stars with pride, humans waited in silence. They were always underestimated, and they preferred it that way. The ambassador, riding the transport back to his ship, looked at the stars through the window. "They'll see soon enough," he whispered. Behind him, the stars seemed to shimmer. Like something ancient was waking up. The moment was coming. The moment when humans would reveal their true military power, and the galaxy would never laugh. Again, in the deep black of space, past Mars, and beyond the cold rings of Saturn, a quiet moon named Europa floated in the dark. It was silent, frozen, and covered in thick ice. But under that ice, something ancient was sleeping, and now it was waking up. Lights flickered deep below the surface. Glowing red and white, the ice cracked, steam hissed, and giant machines began to hum. Hidden for over 100 years, an old Earth command center powered back to life. Its name was Fort Helix, and it had waited in silence for the call. "Begin Phase 1, the command had said. Now. Thousands of lights turned on across secret bases buried on moons, planets, and even asteroids. Doors opened where there had only been rock. Gigantic machines rolled out from the shadows, warships that had never been seen by alien eyes. Black, sharp, silent, built for war. Not for show, back on Earth. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, a great shadow moved. A base called Abyss 1 began its final sequence. At its heart slept the pride of Earth's forgotten fleet, the Supercarrier Awoke. A ship so large it had its own gravity center. The ship was covered in ocean coral, barnacles, and forgotten time. But its core was still beating, still waiting. Inside, machines began their work. Air hissed through long empty halls. Old AI woke from deep slumber, their voices calm and deadly. Systems check complete. One said, Supercarrier online. Giant turbines started spinning, and the water around the base boiled from the energy above. On the surface of the ocean, a storm began to rise. But it was not a weather storm. It was the sign of something ancient coming back. At Earth's North Pole, in the Arctic ice, hidden weapons platforms opened, railguns, pulse cannons, and sky-piercing towers rose from the snow. The ice cracked open like paper, revealing hidden runways and launch bays. Dozens of black ships, shaped like sharks, launched into the sky without a sound on the moon. Earth's first military colony sent out signals, code words never used before commands. Only known to the highest level of command, from Mercury to Neptune, the solar system was alive again. A beast long asleep had opened its eyes, inside a command center in a mountain bunker. Commander Arlen watched the holograms light up one by one. His face was still, his eyes sharp. It's time, he said. Let them see what we've hidden. He turned to his officers, many of them awakened from cryosleep only hours ago. You all trained for this, he continued. The galaxy laughed at us. Now they'll remember us, across the system. Human soldiers suited up in black. X-armor. Each armor was powered by smart AI, responsive to thought. The soldiers trained in silence, fast and deadly. They were not made for peace talks. They were Earth's final line, and they were ready. In the outer asteroid belt, a hidden shipyard opened its doors. Hundreds of ships floated out fighters, cruisers, stealth bombers, and massive command carriers. Each one bore no flags, no colors, only one marquee AF, the Earth's armed forces. These were not showpieces like the alien parade ships. They were clean, sharp, and silent, and they were built for war in deep space. Inside the Oberon, the AI named Rhea came online. She had waited 200 years for her command. Hello again, she said to no one, her voice soft and chilling. Coordinates locked, weapons charged, crew awakening. The Oberon began to rise, pushing the ocean back as it surfaced for the first time in generations. Birds screamed in the sky and waves crashed violently. A ship the size of a city broke through the surface like a mountain being born. Its sides glowed with hidden lights, and its engine cores burned with silent blue fire. Some humans on the beach stared in silence. Unsure what they were seeing, old men whispered stories they thought were just myths. You're not supposed to be real, one said softly, but the Oberon didn't answer. It was rising for war. From the moon to Mars, from Europa to Earth, signals were sent, encrypted, short, deadly. The human fleet was awake, and soon it would move back in the Galactic Senate. No one knew what was coming. They believed Earth had a few ships, maybe a few fighters. They had no idea. The humans had been building not to impress but to survive. They had watched, learned, waited, and now the sleeping giant was standing tall again. Earth's real power had been hidden behind silence. But now the silence was breaking. The stars would soon echo with thunder, and humanity would no longer be mocked. The edge of known space was a place few traveled. It was dark, cold, and full of silent ruins, long ago. Ancient races had vanished there, leaving behind only whispers. Now, something worse had come back. A single distress signal was sent from a trade station near the Helix Expanse, unknown ships approaching. The message said, "We request aid," but no one answered in time. By the time help arrived, the station was gone. Only wreckage floated where it once stood, and in the middle of it all, strange black ships hovered silently. They were smooth, without lights, and shaped like knives. The machines had returned. No one knew their real name. They were just called the Silencers, because every time they arrived, voices disappeared. Worlds went quiet. systems went dark. And the galaxy feared them more than anything. The Galactic Senate gathered again. This time in panic, reports were coming in from across sectors. Planets burned, colonies lost, fleets destroyed within minutes. "They are not just attacking," said one senator. "They are erasing us." Another shouted, "Call all fleets. We must unite now." But unity came too late. The machines were already inside central space. Some brave alien fleets tried to fight back. They brought out their strongest ships, their fastest pilots, their best weapons. But it didn't matter. The silencers did not fight with emotion. They did not fear. They did not stop. They sent signals before every attack. Just 3 words. A cleanse, silence, continue. Then everything died. In a hidden control room on Earth, Commander Arlen stared at the growing red dots on the star. "Map. They're faster than we thought," he said. His officers looked at each other with grim faces. "They've already taken 6 colonies." An officer whispered. The Oberon's AI Rhea spoke. "Enemy pattern is spreading toward galactic core," she said. "They will reach major trade routes in 48 hours. Arlen nodded slowly. "Time for Phase 2, said the order was sent. Every human ship, every hidden base, every orbital platform received the same short command. Engage in silence. The human fleet began to move. Earth ships appeared out of nowhere, stealth drives breaking, warp signatures flaring. They exited from black holes, plasma storms, and forgotten wormholes. To the galaxy, it looked like Earth was coming from every direction. Aliens who had once mocked now watched in shock. Where were they hiding these ships? One asked. "These are not cargo ships." Another whispered. "No," said a third. "These are ships built for extinction." The first human fleet made contact with the machines near the star system Denter. 50 enemy ships waited silently. The human fleet had only 10, but those 10 moved like shadows. They split into attack lines, firing railguns and plasma lances with perfect timing. Enemy ships were torn apart before they could respond. It was over in 2 minutes. Other races were watching. Their spies had tapped into Earth's live feeds, and what they saw shocked them. Human warships used tactics that no one else dared. They flew through their own shockwaves, bounced gravity between ships, and fired weapons that bent time for half a second. Alien generals stood in silence. One whispered, "This is not how we fight." Another said, "This is how monsters fight." But Earth's message was not conquest, it was protection, in every the system they entered. They left behind defense stations, food and medics. Even to species that had laughed at them, they gave aid. One alien girl on a damaged space station cried when a human soldier gave her a blanket and warm food. He smiled gently and said, "We're here now." That moment was broadcast across the galaxy, and millions saw the truth. Humanity did not come for revenge. They came to save everyone. In the Galactic Senate, silence filled the chamber. A new transmission had arrived. It was a message from the silencers, the same 3 words. But now directed at Earth: cleanse, silence, continue. Everyone turned toward the human ambassador, who had returned after being mocked. He stood, calm and firm. He looked around the room and spoke just one line. "You wanted to see Earth's strength," he said. "Now you will." The screen behind him lit up with a feed from the Oberon. Its weapons were armed, its hull glowing. And above it floated a line of text. "Humanity responds." The room went cold, because for the first time the galaxy realized Earth had never been weak. It had only been patient, and now that patience was over, space burned red over the planet Darvix Prime. It was a wealthy trade world once, filled with floating cities and crystal towers. Now, those towers fell like rain, and the sky screamed with fire. The silencers had arrived. Black machine ships hovered above the ruins. They fired without pause, without mercy. Without sound, no demands, no reasons, just destruction. Civilians ran in panic, and local forces tried to fight back, but their ships were too slow, their weapons too weak. The silencers moved in patterns beyond logic. They did not chase, they hunted, and in minutes. The surface of Darvix Prime became smoke and silence. Suddenly, space twisted. A hole opened in the stars. Blue and pulsing from that hole came the Supercarrier Awoke. It moved like a god of war, slow and powerful. Behind it followed an entire fleet of Earth's warships. Their shapes were sharp and dark, not built for beauty, but for battle. The silencers scanned the newcomers. To them, humans were still low-threat targets. They prepared their weapons, but Earth did not wait. "Engage all systems," said Commander Arlen. Inside the Oberon, alarms lit up green, railguns loaded, plasma, coils spun, missile bays opened with a hiss. "Fire," he said. The first strike came from the Valkyrie. A human stealth cruiser, its railgun ripped through 3 silencer ships with one shot. No flash, just speed and silence. The second wave was faster. Dozens of fighter drones flew like angry sparks, spinning between laser blasts and debris. Each drone was linked to a soldier back on Earth using neural sync. The drones dodged like dancers, never missing their targets. One after another, the machine ships exploded in burning arcs of metal and flame. The silencers fought back, but their weapons didn't work the same on humans. Earth ships didn't rely on central systems. They were designed to keep fighting even when half destroyed. The Black Warden, a human destroyer, lost its front engine. But it kept moving, turned sideways, and rammed the enemy ship with full force. Both ships exploded together. The galaxy watched the feat in silence. No alien fleet had ever fought like this, on the ground. Human drop pods crashed into the planet's surface. Heavy troops in black armor rose from the dust. Their armor glowed faint blue. Powered by mini fusion cores, they moved fast, not like soldiers, but like predators. They used rail rifles that shot with silent speed. One shot could cut through metal walls, and their helmets gave full 360 vision. They never blinked, never hesitated. Alien survivors huddled in broken shelters, expecting death, but the humans came to them not to harm, but to help. Medics gave food, water, and wrapped wounds with care. Children were carried on armored shoulders. One small alien boy looked up at the soldier holding him and whispered, "I thought humans were weak." The soldier smiled and replied, "Only when we choose to be, back in orbit." The Oberon's AI Rhea tracked hundreds of enemy targets. She spoke calmly. "Enemies falling, success rate rising, continue advance." Arlen nodded. "Push forward," he said. The humans didn't stop. By the time the battle ended, Darvik's Prime was safe again. Half of the human ships had damage. A few were gone completely, but they had one. And the galaxy had watched every second. Alien news channels showed Earth's war machines with shock, fear, and respect. Some called them angels of war. Others called them monsters in armor, but all agreed on one thing: humanity was not to be mocked anymore in the Galactic Senate. No one laughed now. The human ambassador returned. He didn't speak of revenge or pride. He simply said, "More systems are under attack. We are moving to assist." An alien senator stood up, his voice shaking. "Why help us?" he asked. "We laughed at you, ignored you," the ambassador replied with a quiet voice. "'Cause if we don't stand together, we'll all fall apart." That moment spread across the galaxy. A still image of the human ambassador standing tall, while others bowed their heads. People began to speak of Earth, not just with fear, but with hope, on Darvik's Prime. The alien survivors built a statue. It showed a human soldier carrying a wounded child. Below it were carved simple words. They came not to conquer, but to protect. And across the stars, the wrath of Earth kept moving. Not to burn planets, but to save them. One battlefield at a time, one soul at a time. The planet Harel was burning. Its sky was black with smoke. Its rivers ran red with heat. The machines had attacked without warning. Buildings fell like cards, and the air itself was heavy with ash. Families ran through the streets, searching for shelter that didn't exist. Mothers held crying children. Fathers tried to carry the weak. The ground shook with every blast. The silencers were not just killing, they were erasing. Deep inside the city ruins, a young alien girl hid beneath the collapsed roof of an old home. She had small green scales, wide yellow eyes, and bruises on her arms. Her name was Rena, and she was only 8 years old. Her mother had told her to run. Her father had stayed behind to fight. Now, Rena was alone, cold, and afraid. She clutched a cracked necklace in her hand and whispered to herself, "Stay quiet, don't cry," but her tears still fell above her. The machines marched through the streets, their metal feet crushed bones and stone alike. They did not look for survivors, they simply destroyed everything. Suddenly, a loud sound split the sky. Not a machine blast, but something else. A sound like thunder wrapped in steel. The Oberon had arrived, from orbit. Earth's fleet dropped their ground units. Dozens of black pods shot down like meteors, each carrying a human soldier. The machines turned to face them, but Earth did not. "Come to talk." The first pod smashed into the main square. Its doors exploded open. And out stepped a soldier in full black armor. His name was Sergeant Kane. He was calm, focused, and ready. Behind him, more pods landed. A full strike team moved through the burning city, cutting down machine units with deadly speed. Rail rifles cracked, drones buzzed in the air, and flame-retardant shields blocked incoming fire. Rena heard the battle, but she didn't move. She was too afraid. Then her hiding spot began to shake. The wall behind her collapsed and a machine stood there, staring at her. It raised its weapon. Rena froze. Too scared to scream, just then, a loud burst shattered the machine's head. Metal pieces flew everywhere. The girl gasped and looked up. A tall human soldier stood in front of her, his armor covered in dust and firelight. He knelt slowly and removed his helmet, revealing a tired but gentle face. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you hurt?" Rena shook her head, still shaking. Kane reached out his hand. "It's okay now. I've got you," he said. She hesitated, then took his hand. It was warm, strong, and real. Now, he lifted her into his arms and covered her with his cloak. "We need to get you out of here," he said into his cums. "Got a live one moving to evac." As they walked through fire and ruin, Rena asked, "Why? Why did you come?" Kane looked down at her, surprised. "Because you needed help," he said. "But, fuck, no one ever helps us," she whispered. Kane smiled gently. "Then it's time someone did." He carried her through broken streets, past wounded soldiers and burning towers. He never let go. And she never stopped holding on to him. A camera drone hovered nearby, capturing the moment. It sent the image to Earth Command. From there, it was broadcast to every colony, every Senate hall, every screen in the galaxy. The image showed a human soldier walking through fire, carrying a small alien child wrapped in his cloak, and below it, simple words appeared. "We protect who others forget." The photo went viral in ours. Aliens across the galaxy wept. Some had feared humans, others had mocked them. Now they saw them in a different light. Not as conquerors, not as enemies, but as protectors in the galactic. Senate debates paused as leaders stared at the screen. The same alien senator who once joked about humans throwing rocks now sat in silence. "They saved a child," he whispered, "a child from our world." The human ambassador didn't speak. He just nodded once, as if to say this is who we are. Not for glory, not for thanks, but because it's right. Back on Hurarel, the machines were finally driven away. Human ships cleaned the skies, human troops cleared the streets, and medics treated every species without question. Sergeant Kane sat on the ramp of his transport ship. Rena sat beside him, sipping warm broth from a small cup. She leaned against him and said, "You came through the fire," he smiled, "and you survived it." The child's voice had cut through all the noise. More than weapons, more than ships, her simple question, "Why did you come?" had touched the stars, and humanity had answered with action, not words. No, Blackwater Rift was the most dangerous place in the galaxy. It was a crack in space where gravity twisted like smoke and light bent in strange ways. Ships that entered without perfect coordinates were never seen again. Even maps marked it with warnings, "Do not enter." But now, the machines were there. The silencers had made their final base inside the rift. Hundreds of their ships floated like dark bones in space. They were building something no one knew what, but signals showed it pulsing with energy. Earth scouts watched from far away. Hiding behind dead moons, the images they sent back showed one thing clearly. If the machines finished their work, no world would be safe. In the command center of the Oberon, Commander Arlen stood before a massive screen. The human fleet was gathered, hundreds of ships, fighters, carriers, destroyers, and stealth wings. Alien allies stood beside them. Even races that once mocked Earth now followed its lead. "This is it," Arlen said, his voice calm. "We end it here." Beside him, the AI Rhea spoke softly. "Water rift will destabilize if struck at the center." Arlen nodded then. "We strike at the center." The fleet began to move. Engines hummed. Energy shields activated. Weapons charged. Across space, the human ships created a wall of fire and metal. The final battle had begun. The silencers noticed too late. Earth ships didn't wait for permission. They attacked with full force. The first wave of drones flew in tight formation. They moved like a swarm of sparks, dodging blasts and aiming. True. Behind them came the destroyers, raining plasma and rail fire into the machine core. The sky turned blue with fire, and then red with explosions. The machines fought back. They launched black spikes that tore through armor and metal. One human cruiser was hit, split in half, its pieces burning as it fell into the rift. But the humans didn't stop. Fighters flew into the heart of the storm. Engines on fire, weapons overheated. Pilots didn't ask for rescue. They asked for more targets. Every second they bought, gave. The Oberon time to move closer. Inside the Oberon, power levels surged. Rhea began her final sequence. "Main cannon charging," she said. "Target locked, rift core." The machine base was protected by a gravity shell. No normal weapon could reach it. But the Oberon was not normal. Its cannon used a singularity bullet, a compressed star-wrapped. In dark energy, as the Oberon floated into position, enemy ships surrounded it. The fleet formed a shield, sacrificing themselves to protect the supercarrier. Ships exploded in silence, but they bought enough time. "Cannon at 92%, Rhea said. Outside, the rift twisted harder. One wrong move, and they would all vanish into space-time. Inside the command deck, Arlen looked at a photo of his family. "A reminder of why he fought. Make it count," he whispered. "Firing," Rhea said. The cannon lit up like a second sun. The singularity bullet shot forward, tearing through the shield. Time bent, light screamed, and the bullet hit the rift core. For one moment, everything was quiet then. The center of the machine base cracked open. Energy pulsed outward, and the rift began to collapse. The silencer ships went wild, losing coordination. Human ships pushed harder, firing without rest, chasing every last machine. The rift pulled everything. Inward, Earth's ships began to back away, but one ship remained the Resolute. Its engines were damaged, and it couldn't escape. Its captain, Alina Wu, opened comes to the fleet. "I'm staying," she said. Finished the mission. The Resolute turned and charged the collapsing base. Its reactor was overloaded, glowing white-hot. It slammed into the center of the machine nest. A second explosion lit up space, and the rift closed. Silence returned. The battlefield was still. Only a few wrecked ships floated among the stars. But the machines were gone, and the galaxy was safe. Back on Earth, people cried and cheered. Screens showed the final moment, the Resolute flying into the light. Captain Alina Wu became a hero to all in the Galactic Senate. The human flag was raised for the first time. Leaders stood and clapped. No longer mocking, but honoring. The human ambassador said only one sentence. "We don't ask for power, only peace." Aliens across the stars shared messages of thanks. Families named children after Earth's heroes. Statues were built not just for soldiers, but for those who gave kindness and fire. The battle at Blackwater Rift became legend, not just for its victory, but for the way Earth fought not with pride, but with purpose, not to rule, but to protect. And in the empty silence of deep space, one small satellite floated. It carried a message from Earth, broadcasting in hundreds of languages. "We came late, but we came strong. We fight not because we hate, but because we love. We are human." The galaxy was quiet. For the first time in years, there were no battles, no screams, no black ships in the sky. The machine threat was gone. The stars, once filled with fear, now shimmered with peace. But something else had changed, to something deeper. The way the galaxy looked at Earth. At first they had laughed, then they had feared. Now they remembered. On a silver platform inside the Galactic Senate, all member races stood together, flags waved, and translators hummed softly. Today, a new banner was being raised, the blue and silver flag of Earth. The humans were no longer just observers. They were now a core member of the council. The same senator who once joked about humans throwing rocks now stepped forward. He looked at the human ambassador, then bowed low. "I was wrong," he said. "We were all wrong." The chamber echoed with applause. The human ambassador, an older man with gray hair and kind eyes, nodded once. "We don't ask for apologies," he said calmly. "We only ask for unity." Behind him a screen showed images from the final battle. The Oberon, the Resolute, the brave troops who fought in fire, but also images of rescue, of kindness, of Rena, the alien girl, smiling as she held hands with the human soldier who had saved her. Rena stood there now on the stage, a little taller, her eyes still wide and curious. She stepped forward, holding a small stone once given to her by her father. Now smooth from her fingers, she raised it up. And the room fell silent when, "I was afraid," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I thought no one would come." But the humans came. They didn't ask what I was or where I came from. They just held me and said, "You're safe now." Her voice cracked slightly. And even the strongest leaders lowered their eyes. They were strong, she said. But their strength wasn't in their ships. It was in their hearts. The entire Senate stood, clapping, some wiping tears. Even the coldest generals felt something stir inside them. Outside the Senate building, people gathered in every city square, on every colony world. Aliens stood next to humans. Watching the ceremony on giant screens, they cheered not for power, but for the hope that power had protected in orbit. The Oberon floated silently, now a symbol of peace as much as strength. Its weapons were off, its lights dim, but everyone knew it still stood ready. If ever needed on Earth, memorials were built, not just for human soldiers, but for all who stood with them. Aliens who had once doubted, now sent letters of thanks, flowers, gifts. Schools taught new history where Earth was no longer the forgotten planet, but the one that came when it mattered most. In one quiet village on a green world called Luren, a statue was raised. It showed a human and an alien child sitting together, sharing food below it. Words were carved in gold. They came when no one else would, back on Earth. Commander Arlen visited a small cabin by the sea. He sat by the water, watching the waves crash. The war was over, but the memories stayed. He picked up a seashell and held it gently for those who can't return. He whispered, "We live in peace for you." A young cadet walked up behind him. "Nervous, sir," he said. "A message from the Senate." Arlen looked up, smiled faintly. "Let me guess," he said. "Another medal?" The cadet chuckled. "No, sir," he said. "They want you to speak at the academy." Arlen nodded slowly. "Maybe it's time the next ones learn," he said. "Not just how to fight, but why we fight." Across the galaxy, Earth's name became a symbol, not of terror, not of pride, but of courage, of kindness, of standing up when others sat down, of running into danger when others ran away. The silencers had thought humans were weak, but humans had proved something far greater. They were the species that could burn but still choose to heal. The ones who could destroy but chose to protect, and now no one mocked them. Not anymore. Because humanity had earned something far greater than fear. They had earned respect. As the stars glowed across the sky, a new message began to spread. From planet to planet, child to elder, soldier to survivor, simple, honest, and true, the humans came, and they changed everything.